in that moment, after he broke his leg, he believed that he had lost everything, that his career was over, that he was never going to be able to come back from that break, and he snapped. That's why he's like, that's why I went into a different mode. You know, he's like, in your sleep, I'll get you. In your sleep, I'll get you. But basically, he said that was because, you know, he was full of adrenaline. And dude, you remember his eyes? It was all pupil. Like his eyes literally went like this. He had adrenaline just smashing through his veins. All right, so I just recorded an extensive video about Conor McGregor, what he's doing, when he's fighting, who he's going to fight against, why they're keeping it quiet, all that stuff. And as I go to look for a thumbnail picture, I find a news story about Conor McGregor that ended up being so good that it ended up needing to be at the front of this video. Conor McGregor's forced to apologize for weasel comment to get Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia tickets. Okay, so who would Conor McGregor apologize? Who would he owe an apology to? Mayweather? Right? Like Mayweather, or I don't know, Davis. Did he say something about Davis I don't know about? Ryan Garcia? I thought they're buddies, man. I thought they were cool. You know, who would he need to apologize to? Let me explain to you how ludicrous this story is, okay? So Conor McGregor forced to apologize. Now, who would Conor apologize to anyway? Like if someone's he owes me an apology, who would he apologize to? And another reason that this is ludicrous is because anyone in a position to give Conor tickets should of course want Conor there, right? Now, I have spoken about this extensively because, you know, it was an incredible experience. I went to UFC 287. I sat ringside. The reason I was able to do that is because Mike McDaniel's my good buddy, Dolphins coach, and he just made a phone call and we got free tickets on right next to the ring because he's the Dolphins coach. And of course they want him there, right? Like they want him there. Why? He's a value. You think Conor McGregor is not a huge value to have at your pay-per-view? Of course he is. So what kind of person would make him apologize, I wonder? Well, let's see. Remember this guy? Remember this guy? This guy's a weasel. This guy's a weasel. Because the dude, the Showtime guy, Espinoza, who Conor called a weasel because he turned Conor's microphone off, he made Conor apologize to get tickets to Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Now, let me tell you 2 reasons why that's hilarious. Number 1, okay, guys like that get to a position like Espinoza is in are vindictive and they don't forget. Okay. Like you don't end up in a position like that being some softy that like lets things slide most of the time. Except in this case, you would think that he would understand the game that he's playing because Conor didn't owe him an apology, right? Like, well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? Here's why. Conor called him a weasel. It went viral. That was a crazy, huge meme. And then what happened? What was the result of that? They sold 1 billion pay-per-views. They made $440 million on that fight, dude. That's just in pay-per-view revenue. This is the Showtime guy. He made a fortune on that fight. You would think that he understands the game. He's on stage with Conor McGregor and Mayweather doing a trash talk back and forth world tour. Think of what Conor said about Mayweather. On 3, book the Mayweathers. Everybody put your middle finger up. Hey, Floyd can't read. That's what everybody's doing up there. That's why Ellerby's laughing. That's why Mayweather's are laughing. Everybody's laughing, dude. Voltron. That's why everybody's like, dude. Yeah, like he took that personal. He made him apologize. That's amazing, dude. Now, Espinoza, let me just make perfectly clear. I am not calling you a weasel, nor am I questioning you making that decision because I actually think it's pretty gangster. If I'm being honest, I think it's pretty gangster. It's like, hey, Conor, why don't you come kiss daddy's ring? Oh, you want to come to the fight, Conor? Oh, so I have something that you want, is it? So you want something. You want to come to the fight? Oh, I bet that'd be exciting for you. You want to get some publicity? Well, come here. Come here. Grab my pocket. Here, Conor, hold my pocket. Kiss the ring, little daddy. Kiss the ring. And Conor is smart because Conor is into making money, and there is no money in being enemies with Espinoza. None. Lots of money in, you know, having a relationship with him if you're Conor McGregor, right? Potentially, you know, if you're ever outside of a UFC contract, which seems extraordinarily unlikely. But I thought that story is hilarious. Hilarious. And now let's watch the rest of this video because it's the bomb. So recently I've seen a bunch of speculation on what's going on with Conor McGregor. Why isn't he announced a fight? What's going on with him and Chandler? Is he going to fight someone else? Him and Max Holloway are talking about fighting. And I think I could shed a fair amount of light on exactly what's going on with Conor, when he will probably fight, why it's quiet, and who he's going to fight. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're almost at 110,000. I'm very excited to hit that milestone. I appreciate you guys very much. You get a new plaque for 110. I'm just kidding. But yeah, if you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, it tells the algorithm that you like it. And so does liking the video and commenting on the video. So if you could, that would be amazing. So everybody's wondering why you haven't heard an announcement about what he's doing, right? Okay, so here is what is almost certainly going on. You have a few factors that are all playing into why there is not an announced fight, okay? Now, he's still fighting Chandler. For sure he's fighting Chandler. For sure. How do we know that? Because they did Ultimate Fighter together. Do you have any idea what a waste it would be to have a show like with Chandler and Conor on it, which the UFC paid a fortune for? A fortune. A fortune for that. Okay? They did that, and the budget that they spent on Conor and Chandler is marketing budget for their fight. There is no way that they are not fighting each other. They are fighting each other. Okay? The reason you haven't heard anything and you haven't been hearing about Conor's camp and any of that stuff that seems like they're keeping it on the under, or you just don't know, is because of the USADA thing. I guarantee it. It's the USADA thing, where USADA said they want him in the testing pool for 6 months. The UFC is going to give him an exemption. He's getting an exemption. Just bet your life on that, okay? He's getting an exemption. And he's going to get the exemption, but the UFC, they want to get a little bit of, again, I'm speculating, but come on. They want to get a little bit of distance away from when that was such a big story, because it isn't a great look. Everybody knows it's going to happen. Conor is he's in his own class of, fight. He's not like anyone else, but he is going to get that exemption. But nonetheless, optically, it doesn't look good. If USADA came out and they were like, in our opinion, Conor McGregor needs to be in the testing pool for 6 months. And then the UFC turns around a month later and they're like, nah, no, we don't think so. Conor can do what he wants to do. And so that is one of the main factors, that they're keeping it quiet because they want to keep it there, because they're going to quietly give him the exemption, and they're going to try to keep that as low as possible, right? The other thing is that the fight is going to happen at the end of when they air Ultimate Fighter. So they're not going to announce when the fight is until they know when they're going to air the show, or vice versa, right? Like that's the thing, is like this, most of the time when you get a fight booked, all you have to solve for is when is this fight going to happen and have the two guys signed, right? In this case, it's very different. It's very different because you have the USADA thing, you have the Ultimate Fighter. There are a lot of moving parts in terms of when they might have that fight. They might have a date lined up. We just have no idea. They wouldn't talk about it if they did, because there's too many moving parts going on. But so you got a chicken and the egg thing with the with the Ultimate Fighter airing, when they're going to air it, and then the fight, and then you have the USADA thing. But listen, bet your life that Conor's fighting Chandler. Bet your life on that, dude. You think Chandler's going to take another fight when he's got a payday like that coming? Because he did Ultimate Fighter with Conor, right? I know a lot of times these guys get fights against Conor and they don't get back end points. I haven't asked Chandler. I'm not sure if he would tell me if I did, but but given that he did Ultimate, it's possible that he doesn't get back end, but he does get, he probably got an enormous amount of money to do Ultimate Fighter. Here's the other thing too, dude. Here's the other thing. Did you hear what Dana said? Actually, I don't even know. I should have pulled that up, dude. I should have pulled that up. So Dana did a video, right, recently where he was talking about Conor. And he was like, that's the thing, man. He's like, he can come back if he wants. He doesn't have to. He has financial freedom. He's like, if he wants to pop in and make a quick 25, 30 million, then that's what he can do. So Conor is making $25 to $30 million when he fights in the UFC. $25 to $30 million. While these other guys, like the max guys, are making 10. Like the guys that are making 10 million a fight, that's generally as big as it gets normally. Conor's making 25 to 30. That's how valuable he is, dude. Which is crazy. And you want to know why he's worth that? This is another point that relates back to the Chandler thing. One of the main reasons that he's worth that is not only what he's going to bring in on that event. He is so valuable that when he fights a guy, he immediately increases the value of the person that he fights, right? So the person that he fights then becomes a huge property. Think about Nate Diaz, okay? Think about the cost versus return on Nate Diaz pre-Conor McGregor, post-Conor McGregor fight, okay? Think about that. So you got Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, he makes 40 and 40 in the fight before that, right? Then he comes in, he fights Conor, he chokes him out, he gets paid $500,000. He ends up doing the rematch, he gets $10 million for that fight. But aside from that point, think about how much they paid Nate Diaz versus how much value he brought in. Astronomical return versus prior to fighting Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier, same story, not quite to the degree of Nate Diaz, but that's why. It's not just what he brings in on this one event. Anything he even stands next to becomes valuable. Why do you know about Dillon Danis? I just saw a picture of Dillon Danis out partying with Colby Covington. Why do we know about that? How is that a notable thing? Look at Colby Covington with Dillon Danis. Why? Because Dillon Danis is one of, Conor McGregor's grappling, training partners. Simple as that. That's why he has big profile. Now, he took the notoriety that he got from being next to Conor and he turned it into something much larger by being, doing whatever he's been doing. But that's the only reason you even know who Dillon Danis is, right? Aside from that, you're all, who's Dillon Danis? You're like, he's a dude that lost a decision in ADCC to Gordon Ryan in 2017. You're all right. So, I mean, listen, dude. Conor is in a league of his own, which is why he's definitely going to get that exemption, which is why they are keeping it quiet almost for sure. And then you're going to find out when they're going to fight soon. Okay, now here's the other thing I want to talk about. It relates directly to the USADA situation as well. Okay, so I want to show you this clip really quick. Man, I'm a little bit hesitant to do this, just because I really don't want to get this copywritten. It's just such a it's just such a waste when that happens. But anyway, look, I'll just show you this. So whoops. So this clip right here, I'm just going to play super quick. Just get a look at him.
Storm, it's McGregor forever. And don't you forget it.
Okay, so that's the back part of the trailer. And the McGregor Forever documentary is apparently starting after his injury, right? After his injury, he's in the hospital. Right there, you can see he's in the hospital. This is just post-surgery or whatever. And he explains, you should definitely watch the trailer. He explains why he lost his mind in the octagon after losing to Dustin Poirier, right? So he said that in that moment, after he broke his leg, he believed that he had lost everything, that his career was over, that he was never going to be able to come back from that break, and he snapped. That's why that's why I went into a different mode. He's like, in your sleep, I'll get you. In your sleep, I'll get you. But basically, he said that was because, he was full of adrenaline. And dude, you remember his eyes it was all pupil. His eyes literally went like this. He had adrenaline just smashing through his veins. But his adrenaline, he said that he thought that was the end of his career and he lost everything. He's got all the money in the world, but he just said to Max Holloway, today, I'm never retiring, so we will definitely fight. People who have never had money not all people that have never had money, but many people who have never had money, they think that once you become wealthy, then nothing else matters, right? They think that you're wealthy, so nothing else matters. And that's such a ridiculously incorrect assumption. Right? Conor has all the money or George Masvidal has tons and tons of money. He just retired. Who cares? It's it's all this. It's dude, no, man. No. It's what he loves to do. He loves to fight. He loves it. He loves to train. He loves to fight. And he loves to compete at the highest level. And so he can have all the money in the world, but you pull that away from a guy, it is an incredibly impactful moment. Now, obviously, with most fighters, that moment happens and they also don't have money, so it's, you know, much worse. But like for Conor, when people look at him, they're like, he has all the money in the world. Why would he even be fighting? It's like, because he loves it. He loves it. You can't buy that. You can't buy that. You can't buy, you know, going into the octagon with tens of thousands of people screaming for you, getting into a cage against another absolutely murderous trained assassin, and then get to fight them in front of the entire world, millions of people watching. You know, if 1.3 million people buy the pay-per-view, you got 3 million more that are stealing it. It's just so crazy, dude. I really don't like that at all, man. The more I've thought about it, like, it's just really bothers me how prevalent it is. I really believe that like 30% of people who are watching these fights are paying for it. And I mean, I understand if people are just dead broke, but I mean, look, if you're dead broke and you don't have any friends, then maybe, but like, come on, dude. Come on. It's just a principle I won't break, dude. It's like, dude, call your buddies, everybody put in $10 and buy the goddamn fight. You know? Anyway, but yeah, you can't buy that. You can't buy it. That is not a thing that you can buy. And so, anyway, the point I was making about this being tied to USADA is this, okay? So, if Conor comes back and is successful, right? Like if he comes back and he's successful, this is like a small list of fighters who have had this particular injury. So you got Conor, Anderson Silva. Okay, was Anderson Silva ever the same after coming back from this injury? No, he was not. He was not. So Anderson Silva was at the peak of his game. Then he fought against Weidman. You know, he did the thing where he was showboating and Weidman kept throwing punches, which, by the way, I guarantee you, that everybody thinks that was like lucky. But when you actually watch it back, I would bet my life that Longo had said, if he does any of that showboat stuff, just keep pushing, keep moving forward and throwing punches. Just keep moving forward and throwing punches. He'll run out of room and you'll clip him. Like, you could just see that was something, like, that wasn't like a, whoa. It was like that. They knew he was going to do that, and they, you know. Anyway, then Chris Weidman, same thing. Has he been the same? No. Not even remotely, right? Corey Hill, as far as I know, this guy didn't come back at all. So he threw a leg kick that landed awkwardly, causing the right leg to snap at the shin bone. One of the most gruesome in UFC history. And Hill underwent surgery, which involved insertional metal rod, yada, yada, yada. He never fought in the UFC again. This guy, Jonathan King, let's see. Jonathan King never fought again, transitioned to coaching and training fighters. Rob Evans, same thing. He never fought professional MMA ever again. Jack Becker. Okay, these are all the guys, same injury, right? After undergoing surgery and rehabilitation, Jack Becker has returned to training. He is working towards making a comeback in the sport while the injury was a setback. Okay, so he hasn't fought either. Willem Smith, not sure if he's come back. I mean, like, this is the point I'm making is the injury that Conor took is a career ender. And so if Conor McGregor comes back and he is successful in his comeback, especially against a game opponent like Michael Chandler, I think that side of Conor's comeback is not being paid attention to at all versus how big of a deal it should be. Now, as it gets closer, they have the fight announced and all that, maybe that'll change. But I cannot stress enough that needs to be part of the narrative. No one has ever come back from this injury and done well. As far as I know, maybe I'm forgetting somebody. Maybe those lists didn't have him. But Anderson Silva comes back, gone. Weidman comes back. I mean, and every other guy just basically never fought ever again. Conor's coming back to a massive fight against Chandler. Now, it took 2 years, dude. I mean, it will have been 2 years in July. So if he's successful, man, put some respect on that man's name, son. I mean, put some respect on his name anyway. I mean, like, just to the point of he doesn't need to fight, and he's like, I'm never gonna retire. Like, the guy loves to do it, and I know it's hard to like root for a guy who has that much. You know, like when they're that wealthy, it's like, it's kind of like, well, this guy already has everything. What's the point of rooting for him? You know, like he's already won everything. What's the point of rooting for him? But I don't see money as like the full victory. You know, like I know too many people who have lots of money and have like, they're miserable, you know? I mean, not all people that have money are miserable, but I know plenty of people who have money and are miserable. Like really have like serious issues, dude. And the only reason it seems like that wouldn't be the case, you know, if you've never, I mean, I've never been wealthy, you know, comfortable-ish, a lot less comfortable now, you know, a lot less comfortable now than I was a year ago. I mean, significantly. But I know what it's like to be broke. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to have no idea how you're going to make ends meet ever again. And when you're in that place, the paralyzing, crushing stress of not knowing how you're going to like get by in the world, it seems like, well, if you had all the money in the world, every problem that you would have is solved. And it's like, no, just that initial one is solved. And then there's all kinds of other things. You know what I mean? It's just the crushing weight of not, you know, of not being able to afford your life and not having a steady source of income is so stressful that it just overwhelms any other concerns that you have. You know what I mean? It's like the other things that you would be worried about, you don't even have room in your psyche to worry about them because you're so overwhelmed by the uncertainty of how you're going to make ends meet. It's horrible, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is absolutely horrible. It is. I mean, the only thing I don't have any experience with in my own family, knock on wood, is anything about like health stuff, like serious health stuff. I am positive that would be worse. You know, I'm positive that would be worse. But I don't know by how much, dude, because that feeling is crushing, soul crushing. And if we ever end up in a situation like that where we have uncertainty like that, I promise I will tell you guys on the channel, and I will I'll start doing memberships and stuff like that. Because like I don't have any ego tied to like money and stuff anymore. Like I just don't. I don't have ego tied to that because I've seen people who have made it. I've seen the people who have gone from nothing to they completely won. And I know people who have gone from whatever and then lost. And I can objectively tell you that in many cases, the difference is fucking luck. It helps me out a lot. So, okay. First thing I actually want to say before I even get into what's Conor doing is, since we're talking about Conor McGregor documentaries, I cannot stress this enough. If you are watching my channel, it means you are a hardcore MMA fan in almost every case. If you are watching my channel and you are not a hardcore MMA fan, it means that you are drawn to the type of content that hardcore MMA fans are into. So the message is going to remain the same. If you think that you hate Conor McGregor, that's fine. Put that on the table for a second. If you're a fan of Conor McGregor, I'm sure you have probably seen the documentary Notorious. If you have not seen the Conor McGregor documentary Notorious, I cannot stress this in more serious terms. Do not watch another thing on your screen before you watch that documentary. It should be, you should literally, the second that this video is over, that is what you should go do. And for those who don't understand, who think that like you see, oh, Notorious is probably going to be just like a Conor's, just look at how cool I am. No, that is not what Notorious is. Okay. What Notorious is Conor McGregor when he was on welfare. Okay. He was on welfare, living at home with his mom, him and D living at home with his mom because he had no money at all. Bills on welfare. He was so confident that he was going to go on the run that he went on that he started having cameras follow him around. So Notorious, what Notorious is, for those of you who have not seen it, is you literally watch the entire thing from Conor McGregor, not even in UFC yet. Okay, not even in UFC. He starts off like UFC's going to make that call, man. From there, and it ends with him fighting Mayweather. Okay, that is what is covered in Notorious. It's the most amazing sports documentary ever made, ever. I've never seen something capture a ride like that because, again, he goes from nothing to where he is at. I mean, and you get to watch the whole thing because he just stuck a camera on himself. And he captured it all. It's incredible. You have to watch. If you hate Conor McGregor, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if you, here's what I'll tell you. I mean, just spoiler. I don't even know if I should say this. Actually, it doesn't matter because if you don't, if this would make you not watch it anyway, then you're not going to watch it either way. Some people really like to hate people, right? And so they don't want to watch a documentary they think might make them like him. Like, no, I hate him. It doesn't matter. So the other documentary almost even, actually probably even, the two favorite sports documentaries are Notorious and then Kobe Bryant Muse. Okay. Now for Conor, I was already a huge fan when I watched that documentary and it just solidified that to an exponential degree. And if you think you don't like Conor, once you watch this, you will. It just is what you will. There's just no two ways about it. You watch that documentary, you're going to like him. I mean, it's just inevitable. Now, Kobe Bryant, I didn't like Kobe Bryant at all. I thought Kobe Bryant was an arrogant, pompous prick, dude. I watched Kobe Bryant Muse, and it just literally flipped my impression of him 180 degrees to where I was like, I am so upset that I hadn't seen this, but so I would have known what I was watching when I was watching his career, and. That had been my favorite documentary for years to where when he died, I mean, that was a massive kick in the gut to me because that was my favorite doc and I watched it so much, he's just so vulnerable on it. If you haven't seen Kobe Bryant Muse, I cannot stress enough. You have to watch that. And if you're an MMA fan and you haven't seen Notorious, shame on you, dude. Seriously, watch it. Anyway, so let's talk about what Conor McGregor is doing right now. So here's the deal. Anyway, all right. I love you guys. I am going to sign off. Please like the video, share the video, comment on the video, and stay in touch. I signed off like that yesterday and someone enjoyed it. Anyway, love you guys. Peace.